In the dim corners of Los Angeles, far from the red carpets and roaring premieres, a young boy named Leonardo was learning to survive. He wasn't born into stardom, nor did he stumble upon it. He carved it, slowly, painfully, from the chaos that surrounded him. Leonardo Wilhelm DiCaprio was raised by his mother, Irmeline, a German immigrant who worked as a legal secretary. His father, George DiCaprio, an underground comic book artist, was part of a countercultural swirl that defined the late 60s and 70s. The two split when Leo was just a year old, but they made a choice most divorced couples never dare: to raise their son together, side by side, even if it meant living across the street from one another. Their neighborhood wasn't Hollywood. It was gritty, dangerous, riddled with crime and drug abuse. Leo once said he saw the kind of violence that kids shouldn't have to see: people getting stabbed in front of him, drug deals on every corner. But even in the middle of that chaos, there was something undeniable flickering inside him, a hunger to break free. As a child, Leo was hyperactive, full of energy, often mimicking people and pulling faces. His mother believed in him deeply. She drove him to countless auditions across Los Angeles in a beat-up car, waiting outside in the parking lot for hours. Most of those auditions ended with rejection, sometimes cruel rejection. "He's not cute enough," some agents said. "Too disruptive," said others. But Leo kept showing up. So did his mother. At the age of 14, he landed a commercial for Matchbox cars. A few more followed. He was a face in the background, a kid with potential, but still not taken seriously. Then came television roles. Growing pains gave him his first real break. But TV wasn't his dream. He didn't want fame for the sake of fame. He wanted to be great. When he auditioned for This Boy's Life in 1993, opposite Robert De Niro, he was just a teenager. De Niro, already a legend, reportedly hand-picked him out of hundreds. Leo's rawness, his depth, his unpredictability, it startled people. Critics took notice. Suddenly, Hollywood looked again. But it was his performance in What's Eating Gilbert Grape that changed everything. At just 19 years old, Leonardo DiCaprio played a mentally disabled boy with such haunting realism that many believed he was genuinely impaired. He earned his first Academy Award nomination. He didn't win, not yet, but the world now knew his name. Success came fast after that. Too fast. Romeo plus Juliet, with its modernized Shakespearean fire, turned him into a teen idol. Girls screamed his name. His face was plastered on walls, notebooks, magazine covers. But he was restless. That's not what he wanted. He wasn't chasing celebrity. He was chasing respect. Then came Titanic. James Cameron's epic swept the world like a tidal wave. At just 23, Leo played Jack Dawson, a penniless artist with a heart full of dreams, and became the face of a global phenomenon. The film shattered records, hearts, and expectations. He was now the most recognizable face on the planet, and he hated it. He avoided interviews. He declined major roles. He turned down blockbusters that would have made him even richer. Behind the charm and the jawline, he felt suffocated by the icon he'd become. The world saw Jack Dawson. He wanted them to see Leonardo DiCaprio. For years after Titanic, he disappeared from the glamour. But he wasn't idle. He was studying, reading, preparing. He began aligning himself with directors who demanded the best, who wouldn't let him coast on looks or fame. Chief among them was Martin Scorsese. Together, they made Gangs of New York. It was gritty, imperfect, and intense. Then came The Aviator, where DiCaprio became Howard Hughes, obsessive, brilliant, and broken. The performance was raw, unfiltered. It peeled back the layers of stardom and showed us what Leo could really do. He started choosing roles that scared him. Characters with flaws, addicts, criminals, tycoons. He immersed himself in trauma, in madness, in complexity. Each film became a mirror, not of himself, but of everything that made him question who he was becoming. But despite all this, one thing eluded him: the Oscar. He became the running joke of every award season. Memes flooded the internet. Will Leo ever win? They asked. Each time he smiled it off, but inside it stung. He gave everything, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to his roles. And still, recognition remained just out of reach. But he never complained, never lashed out. Instead, he went deeper. In The Departed, he was a cop drowning in lies. In Shutter Island, he played a man driven mad by grief. In Inception, he blurred the lines between memory and dream. Each time he gave more of himself, until there was almost nothing left. Off-screen, he was changing too. The boy who grew up watching his world crumble in poverty began dedicating himself to saving the real one. He spoke at the UN. He donated millions to conservation. He walked away from comfort and embraced purpose. Yet still, no Oscar. Until one freezing, brutal shoot in the wilderness changed everything. The wind howled. The river ran with ice. His breath turned to frost, clinging to the beard on his face as he crawled through snow, bloodied and broken. Every movement was agony. Every scream, real. This wasn't just a film. This was a war. The Revenant wasn't a role. It was an ordeal. Leonardo DiCaprio filmed in sub-zero temperatures, in remote, unforgiving locations, where daylight barely lasted a few hours. He slept in animal carcasses, ate raw bison liver, fought nature, exhaustion, and his own limits. Director Alejandro González Iñárritu demanded authenticity, and DiCaprio gave him nothing less than his soul. When the film released in 2015, the world held its breath. The performance wasn't pretty, it wasn't charming. It was brutal, primal, transformative, and finally, after decades of near misses and standing ovations, the moment arrived. The Academy called his name, Leonardo DiCaprio, Best Actor. As he walked to the stage, people didn't cheer for a movie star. They stood for a man who had climbed, fallen, risen, and endured. A man who had waited 20 years for a statue not made of gold, but of validation. His speech wasn't about him. It was about the planet, about responsibility, about how fleeting fame is, and how permanent the consequences of our choices can be. But Leonardo's story doesn't end with the Oscar. In many ways, it begins there. Because after winning, many stars slow down. They bask in glory. DiCaprio did the opposite. He accelerated. He spoke louder, gave more, took fewer films, but chose them with surgical precision. In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he played Rick Dalton, a fading TV actor battling irrelevance in a changing world. The performance felt personal, as if Leo was showing us the ghost of what he could have become had he not kept pushing. But the camera isn't the only place he's using his voice. His foundation, the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, has funded over 200 environmental projects across 50 countries, from protecting tigers in Nepal to preserving the Amazon rainforest. He's become one of the most influential environmental activists in the world. His 2016 documentary, Before the Flood, is a chilling wake-up call, not from a celebrity, but from a citizen of a dying planet. He's met with presidents, scientists, tribal leaders. He's walked through oil-drenched coastlines and melting glaciers. He doesn't just donate money, he shows up. He puts his name, face, and platform on the line, even when it's unpopular, even when it costs him roles. Because for him, this isn't about reputation, it's about responsibility. Behind the fame lies a man shaped by contradictions. He's notoriously private. He avoids social media. He rarely lets the world in. Yet his work speaks louder than words. There's a relentless perfectionism in him, a refusal to settle. Even today, with every accolade imaginable under his belt, he studies his performances like a student. He rewatches his takes, asks what could have been better. He's dated models, attended elite parties, sailed yachts with billionaires, and yet, he's still the kid who walked through gang-ridden streets with his mother's hand clutched tightly. He's still the boy who was told he wasn't cute enough, still the actor who watched others win while he applauded from the shadows. That duality, fame and fear, confidence and self-doubt, is what makes him so compelling. He's not just a performer, he's a mirror. Every character he plays is an echo of a battle he's fought within himself. In Don't Look Up, he played a scientist screaming into the void while the world ignored the truth. The role felt eerily familiar, a reflection of his real-life environmental pleas, often unheard, often mocked. And yet, he continues, loudly, urgently, because silence is no longer an option. In 2023, he reunited with Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, a haunting tale of greed, betrayal, and the systematic destruction of Native American lives. Once again, DiCaprio vanished into the role, not as a hero, not as a heartthrob, but as a man twisted by guilt and complicity. The performance was uncomfortable, necessary, unforgettable. What sets Leonardo DiCaprio apart is not just his range, it's his evolution. He could have coasted on charm, played safe roles, sold out, but instead, he chose discomfort. He chose truth. He chose the long, hard road, the one paved not with glitter, but with grit. He's no longer just an actor. He's a storyteller, a fighter, a voice for those who have none, whether it's a melting glacier, a dying species, or a forgotten tribe. And maybe that's the real story of Leonardo DiCaprio. Not the Oscar, not the box office numbers, not the headlines, but the legacy. A boy from the broken streets of Los Angeles who refused to become a product, who faced rejection and turned it into fuel, who rose not just to the top, but to the forefront of the world's most urgent conversations. He once played Jack Dawson, the dreamer who said, "I'm the king of the world." But today, Leonardo DiCaprio stands as something far more powerful, a man who never stopped fighting for it.